Good morning, everyone. Just make sure our college from Southeast Asia can hear me well. Everyone hear me well? Open.
The roll call with Indonesia.
Yeah. Okay.
Ask Indonesians to wait.
Indonesia, can you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, technical check done. Good morning, everyone. My name is Trang Bui. I'm a country head of Cushman Wakefield, Vietnam. And first of all, good morning. In Vietnamese, we say xin chào. So, good morning or xin chào, our college from Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, and Singapore. So, this is very, very great pleasure for our Vietnam team to have a visit from Chuyên, who is our Chief Executive India and Southeast Asia and also Asia Pacific Talent Rep. We also welcome here Deepti, who is Executive Director of India and Southeast Asia of Asia Department. And we have here Rayas, Head of BDS for Southeast Asia. So that's the first pleasure for our Vietnam team we have today. And we have in the room all of our Vietnamese colleagues to join this town hall today. The second pleasure for our Vietnam team, this is the very first time we host Southeast Asia town hall. So we feel very honored and also we feel very pleasure. So the agenda of Southeast Asia town hall today, we're going to have a presentation from Ansure, which I would like all of us join me to welcome Ansure to share his view on the town hall today. Please warmly welcome Ansure.
Thank you, Trang. It's always nice to be back here in Vietnam. And I think as we were preparing for this trip, the idea came up about a month and a half ago that we should actually do a Southeast Asia town hall. We've never done one of these before. So let's see how this goes today. And if we are all happy with it, we can continue with this over the next year and have a combined town hall. So we've sort of drafted an agenda for today. I'll talk very briefly about the broader Southeast Asia business and economic overview. We will talk. I'll go maybe a slide each on each of the countries. I would want sort of Linny to come in towards the end when we're talking about Indonesia. We'll probably have a couple of questions given that Indonesia is the largest business of ours within the Southeast Asian countries. So we'll spotlight Indonesia this time. But don't worry, we'll get to all of you in time as we kind of move into different kind of town halls. We'll have Riaz talking about our projects business across Southeast Asia, which I think is very exciting and a very important part of this geography. We have a small video on wins. There has been, for those of you who don't know, we had a recent Southeast Asia road show into China, which was to try and capitalize on China +1 or China outbound opportunities, which was quite successful. Trang and a couple of others led that from Vietnam. So we'll invite Trang to talk about that. Soon we'll talk about some of the better never settled stuff that's happened in Vietnam. It's been very exciting. Deepti will talk about people matters, and feel free to ask her questions and ask all of us questions, and then we'll have Q&A in the end. So we'll try and wrap all of that in 60 minutes, which I think already seems to be a daunting task. But it's a very exciting geography, Southeast Asia, right? I mean, kind of reminds me a little bit of where sort of India was maybe 15, 17 years ago. So if you combine the sort of 4 or 5 countries, we're talking about $4 trillion in GDP. India today is about 4 trillion. So it's kind of an equivalent sort of GDP. India is 1.5 billion population. Southeast Asia is about 600, 700 million in population. Again, kind of similar dynamics, young, hardworking, aspiring to sort of, do more. I think it's pretty much similar dynamics, I suppose. The difference is that a lot of Southeast Asia countries have better natural resources, particularly Indonesia, if you think about it, more export oriented. Thailand is a bit more tourist oriented. It's benefiting from sort of China plus one. Vietnam is benefiting from China plus one from an industrial perspective. So the and Philippines is a lot more of an office outsourcing market, much like India is. So in different complexities in each market, different businesses are thriving in each market within real estate. But as a business as a whole, sort of we've kind of done well. Most economies are growing at between 5 to 6%. So Vietnam's been growing between 5 to 6% over the last few years. Indonesia about maybe 4.5%. Maybe got Philippines growing at about 6%. With Thailand probably growing a little lesser at about 2 to 3%. The chart on the left of the screen that you see, the size of the bubble denotes the sort of size of the economy, and then you see the further right is further right you are, the faster your kind of GDP growth is, and then and of course the size of the population. Why are all these things important? Because the size of the population, as it becomes affluent, as you've got sort of $4,000 per capita GDP, which is very strong GDP actually. Once you go into about $4,000 plus, the World Bank kind of identifies that as more affluent economies. So once you are into $4,000 per capita plus, your consumption starts to rise. When your consumption starts to rise, the economy starts to kind of chug more. So it's quite an important sort of parameter there that we have. And the good news is a lot of innovation happening here. 52 unicorns from Southeast Asia. That's quite large. I actually don't know how many of them are in Vietnam or Indonesia or Philippines, but 52 as a cluster is quite a good. So overall, I think from an economy perspective, from the geography perspective, it's in good place, the whole of Southeast Asia. Of course, challenges remain challenges because 4 trillion is divided in sort of 4 or 5 countries. You have different governments, different types of governments. So you've got right from democracy to other forms of government like communists, and then you've got different regulatory environments which sort of have its own sort of impact on the market and so on and so forth. So the thought processes differ quite significantly, whether it's kind of political thought process, economic, and growth thought process. Lots of regulation. Different businesses, even within real estate, is highly regulated in some of these countries. Some of the governments are trying to do away with regulation, which but it's always a hard task, and deregulating is not easy, as we all know, and it just takes its time, right? So it's in a good place, but overall, how have we done in Southeast Asia? So I think the big comparison here is if you look at the blue line there, right? So that's let's say the EBITDA line, which is really what matters at the end of the day. It's how much money the firm's making, and if you look at 2021, we were kind of near break even with maybe $200,000-300,000 of profit. And this, I'm again consolidating Southeast Asia. You've got different countries in there that you can see, but I'm consolidating Southeast Asia. And then the previous best year ever was 2019, where we this sort of 4 countries put together did about $1.8 million of EBITDA. But the good news is from a break even of 2021, this year we're likely to deliver around $4 million as a cluster, which I think is a fantastic story, right? So my whole pitch around Southeast Asia is, while there are different countries and different identities, and by no means I'm saying that we should merge these identities and so on and so forth. We've got to work with sort of different governments, different regulation, and different identities. But the thought process around these 4 or 5 cities should be that these should be treated as 5 cities as opposed to 5 countries, because that's really our story, right? So there's Ho Chi Minh, there is Jakarta, there's Manila, there is Bangkok, and then of course there are a couple of other sort of cities, and then there's KL, which is an affiliate. If you combine all of that, it's a $4 million profit EBITDA, right? Which was kind of next to nothing in 2021. So that I think is phenomenal, and I think all of you on the call deserve a big round of applause for that.
Yeah.
Quite well done. We think we can probably double this in the next sort of 4 years or so, which if you think about it, it's a growth of about doubling in 4 years means about 18% compounded annual growth, which at these levels should not be that difficult. You know, your economy is anyways growing at 6 to 7%. Some of the markets will bounce back faster, right? I'm hoping Vietnam will kind of bounce back faster, probably towards the end of next year, but you know, it'll come back, and with the team that we have, we should be able to sort of, you know, get out and make a lot more money. I'll just spotlight a few countries, the countries in there. Thailand, we had a legacy FM business in Thailand. At some point last year, about 18 months ago, we decided that we're going to expand business and start the CRE, or commercial real estate businesses, which is really the brokerage business. So we started a brokerage business focused on office and industrial, and we also started a valuation business there, and PDS, right? And between the three businesses combined with FM, Thailand did quite well, you know, is likely to turn over profit in its second full year of operation, which is this year, which I think has been quite great. It's of course benefited from the industrial growth, which has happened sort of in a northeast of Bangkok. So that's Bangkok, Pattaya kind of region. But all businesses are kind of contributing, right? So a lot of businesses, like you might say an office is a heavier asset class, or industrial is a heavier asset class, etc. But in Thailand, I think all businesses are contributing bit by bit, and that's how sort of, you know, things are progressing. Think about Philippines. Philippines is really a two-horse or two-horse race, I suppose, where one is the office as an asset class. So office market is pretty strong in Philippines. There's a big demand coming in from BPOs, or global capability centers, or business process outsourcing that's kind of happening. A lot of people actually go into India, but some go to Philippines as well, right? So what we're seeing is that if you're adding maybe 100 people in India, generally companies tend to add 15 to 20 people in Philippines as a diversification strategy. And also the skills that's available in Philippines is slightly different from what's in India. I think other markets like Vietnam will also benefit in probably medium term from particularly software tech development. We've seen some examples here over the last couple of years, although the momentum is not that strong. But I think it will come down to that at some stage. And the second is because the office is doing well, the office fit out is kind of doing well in Philippines. So I think Philippines is pretty much for us at the moment, office as an asset class concentration, from sort of, you know, both on the transactional side and on the sort of, you know, project side. Of course, we've got other businesses in Philippines like FM, and we've got, you know, we do FM, we do a little bit of research and consulting in Philippines, but our kind of main race is between those two. If you come to Vietnam, you know, it has had an interesting history, Vietnam, right? So I think in what was it, end of 21, our kind of business was more or less sort of, you know, we had a massive upheaval in the business. As you know, we churned a lot of leadership at that stage. In 22, this team sort of, you know, joined. It was a year where Trang and team really tried to establish Vietnam, you know, really stabilize the business. 23 was a pretty good year in Vietnam, where from a big loss in 22, we kind of ended up at a break even. Vietnam continues to face some strong headwinds from regulatory purposes, from the political environment, from regulation, from the fight against corruption that the government's kind of waging, in which a number of sort of, as I understand, real estate players are involved. So all of that is, in a manner of speaking, good news. Now, it may not feel like that because it's kind of tough economic environment for real estate businesses right now, although the economy is growing reasonably well. But as the industry, cleaning up of industry is always a good idea, because, you know, that then fosters more people to kind of come in and develop. And the good news is, as your consumption is rising, as your private consumption is rising, as the GDP becomes better, demand for real estate will be there. And if you have a clean industry or cleaner industry, it will benefit everyone, right? So most popular estimates say that by the end of 2025, the market should start to kind of pick up. I'm pretty confident we have a strong team here. And I know it's hard to hold fort, but you guys are holding fort well. And the things will sort of, the light, there seems to be, the end of the tunnel seems to be sort of, there seems to be some light at the end of the tunnel now, which I think is pretty good news. Wow. Indonesia, I'd sort of, maybe just invite Lini here to maybe make a few comments. But I think it's been a great story, Indonesia. It was a loss-making business around 2019, 2020, at which point sort of Lini took leadership of the business, which I think was just at the end of 2019 or early 2020. And the business, she's done an incredible job with the team there. The business has just turned around significantly. As I said, is the largest sort of profit-making entity within Cushman Wakefield Southeast Asia. Of the 4 million, more than $2 million of profit actually comes from Indonesia. So I'd like to sort of congratulate Lini and team for the tremendous work. And maybe Lini, you can make a few comments and then maybe I can ask a couple of questions on there. So a few comments on the Indonesian business.
Okay. Thank you. I'm quite happy that Indonesia is considered one of the strongest business in the regions in Southeast Asia. But what I think is in terms of the strategy for a service provider company like us, the most important thing is you focus on the growth of the movement of the market, and then come up with a strategy which is quite dynamic in line with the market movement, and focus, the most important is focus on the two key components of a service provider company. In this case are the peoples and the clients. So for the people, keep motivating and energizing our teams, and always appreciate all the hard work they have been given. So I believe this strategy proved to be very helpful in pushing everybody to grow the business together. And from the client side, client is the key components for the business to grow. So maintaining or growing your relationship with the client and put yourself on the shoes of the client is very important. So we have to see every project we work on as our own project. So this will make us really focus on delivering the best advice, and also being very entrepreneurial in the solution given. I believe these two are very important, and as part of a regional company like Cushman, we do enjoy introduction and referral of business from other part of the regions. However, local business is really important, especially we are lucky enough here in Indonesia, we have a very strong business base, and we have developed a very strong relationship, and then we have, I believe we have almost 50% of our business from royal client or introduction of new client through our loyal client. So these are some of the key strategy that we always keep in mind to grow the business, and then to be the best in the market. Maybe answer from your side. I have one question. Would you mind sharing your view, and then any program or from the company to the team here that may motivate and then make us even stronger?
Excellent. I will answer that. I was supposed to ask the questions, but now you've asked a question here. But before that, I'd sort of just maybe compliment Linny here. I do believe that businesses grow as a result of sort of strong, clear thought process of the leadership, right? And I think if you think about what Linny just said, she used the word clients maybe about 10 times, and she used the word growth about 7 or 8 times, right? And she used the word people, right? And I think those are very important as you kind of speak, what's top of your mind as a leader, right? And your top of the mind is really you're all the time thinking about client and growth. If you're thinking about clients and growth, right, and people, right, even the toughest market, I think you'll do well, right? And if the market supports you, you'll accelerate. And we are kind of seeing that everywhere, really. So just picking up on your speech, Lenny, little speech there, I think that is excellent. Thank you. You asked me about programs that would benefit Indonesia. And I think not only Indonesia, I think across Southeast Asia, there are a couple of things happening with the firm right now, right? So we are putting in a data analytics team. So there'll be about a 30 to 40 people team who will sit in Kochi in India. Kochi is a second tier city in south of India, where people are sort of obviously a lot more mathematically oriented. So the data analyst team will look at the hundreds and thousands of the data lines that we have on clients, right? And Trang, we were talking and you said, I think in one of your slides it said almost 45,000 line items in Salesforce or Engage that's been entered as sort of your client activity, who you're targeting, etc. in Vietnam, right? I think there's similar sort of data that we have. So what we're trying to do in the first instance is get all our client data together, right? And put some AI algos on it, have data analysts kind of really analyzing that data and giving some good intelligence back to the business, right? Of where they should be focusing on, which client they should be chasing, who's active in the market, who's not, right? So they not only look at our data, they'll also look at what's happening in the newspapers, which client is in news for what reasons, etc. Try and match all of that and then come up with sort of active pursuit lists, so as to say. Now, that's the goal. It's not going to happen on 6th of November tomorrow. Please don't call me tomorrow and say, where's my warm leads? But we are kind of setting that team up, and I'm guessing and hoping that by middle of next year, we'll have that sort of, coming back. The other initiatives the number of such initiatives that, other initiatives that, we are implementing at the APAC level, which will support all the country levels. So far we had the projects PDS business, which had created a platform. So they were bringing in the skills, the knowledge, the wherewithal for the client, working with your clients locally to try and win more assignments. And it's been a successful venture. The second such venture is what we call the Asia Tenant Rep business. So people who've been involved with Tenant Rep would have seen we're doing the same thing. We're saying, okay, where's the white space? Who are our tenant clients in one country? Have we worked with them in other countries? It's active exchange of information, knowledge, and I can see Mark Lampard, who was sitting in the Singapore office, so he kind of leads the accounts and regional side of it. And then we have a sales element of ATR, which is led by Arpita, who kind of sits in the US. The idea is to leverage our US platform, where a lot of US multinationals from a tenant perspective are actually taking space. So that is going to be helping. The third platform that we're setting up is the investment or capital markets platform. And you'll hear of that more. Again, the idea is to bring sources of money to you and capability to do large transactions should there be large transaction. And I know Stephen, etc., has been quite engaged with people in the region. The fourth is the data center platform. Data center is a hot asset class right now. Suddenly Riaz would know these numbers better, but suddenly from doing no projects in data center, now we're doing about 15, 17 of them across the region within a year and a half. So a number of sort of data center projects. So we're creating a data center specialty in the region. So that's again sort of connecting the platform. So then quite a few initiatives which is sort of helping connect the platform, which will give more benefit that for each country office to tap into for skills, for client connects, and of course enhancing your business. Any other question, Lenny? Lenny, maybe you could just give us a minute of what you see of in Indonesia over the next sort of 4 or 5 years. What's next for Indonesia? Is Lenny still there? Or
Yeah, she's still there.
Okay.
Still there.
So for to the future, I believe Indonesia is a very big. We have a lot of opportunity. So even though we are part of the regional or global companies, which I believe we should not really rely on just the introduction or referral from the regions. So we have to have a balanced business between regional referrals and your own local business. So in the future, so when one part of the globe having, say, economic challenge, and then we still have we still manage to grow the local. So to the future, to answer your question, also maybe we need to really focus on our opportunity locally, as is proven to be a significant contributor to the business, while still tapping into the benefit of being part of a global firm.
That's a characteristic of emerging markets, right? There are different kind of opportunities keep emerging. So, of course, you're focused on office or a couple of major sectors, but the different opportunities emerge. And I think that again is the job of the leaders, the team, to kind of read the tea leaves, as they say, and see where is the opportunity to make money and serve our client best. And that's where we should really get focused on. Thank you, Lenny, for your time. That was fantastic. And congratulations again to the wonderful Indonesian team that we have. All right, can I now invite Riaz to talk about the projects business in the region?
Thank you, Anshul.
Yep. Down button.
Yep. Well, thank you, everyone, and good morning. First of all, I think PDS Southeast Asia, I don't think we would be where we are without our people, to be quite honest. So I'm going to resonate that same line a few times through here. Our people are made up currently of about 113 staff across multiple different sort of roles, from project heads, leads, to project managers, quantity surveyors, designers, admin staff, construction professionals. Now, these teams and these individuals are working very closely with our clients. I call them also partners as well. And on that journey, currently, we're sitting at a split of about 60% occupiers and 40% investors. Now, usually that split is around about 70% occupiers and 30% investors. One of the main reasons and the drivers for this sort of change in the split of percentages is really because of the recent wins in the data center space that we've had in Indonesia with several clients, and also in Malaysia, in Johor Bahru. We've also seen some industrial space work where we're doing working with some semiconductor clients in Penang, Malaysia, and in Thailand. So to date, we've had about we have $14 million of revenue secured in 2024 of one work, and which means 4.3 million square feet of projects delivered and currently delivering this year, which is 88 wins so far. Some key wins and collaborations I just do want to highlight, and I'm going to start with Simpson Strong-Tie because that's Vietnam, and that's where we are today. So in our first town hall, which is great. Simpson Strong-Tie was a collaboration with the office leasing team in Vietnam. It was a project in Ho Chi Minh City where we secured the space, and then we delivered a project management fit out for a client, for this client. A great collaboration. This client also has a bit of pipeline work in the future as well, which we're looking to try and secure as we move forward into 2025. I'll mention Standard Chartered Bank as well, because Standard Chartered Bank across the region, obviously we do a lot of work with. We are working with Standard Chartered Bank in Hanoi as a recent project that we're about to kick off, and also an opportunity in Thailand, which we're currently working on. Princeton Digital. So Princeton Digital is, again, the driver in the investor space is a data center client. So we're currently delivering 2 projects in Indonesia, potentially going to be 3, 2 projects in Malaysia, in Johor Bahru, potentially going to be 3 as well. So there's a nice pipeline with this particular client. Again, a lot of hard work has been done behind the scenes with the team that are not only managing the project, but also helping winning the work as well. So great client and a great journey that we're on with this client. Western Sydney University, this is a project in Indonesia. Now, it is a collaboration, but initially we won through an RFP process, we won the design and build fit out for the space. Quite good revenue, and we did very well financially from an M6 EBITDA position as well with this project. The client really trusted us. We had a great relationship with them early on, which obviously has gone into a phase of where we had a collaboration with the FM team, who were very successful in doing through an RFP process and won the FM work as well for the good relationship we have with that client. Now that client also has some more pipeline work and there's some other opportunities around Southeast Asia, and I think there is an opportunity here in Vietnam as well, potentially. Okay. I think one of the partnerships, which I do want to highlight, is Advanced Energy. Now, Advanced Energy is a client where we've been on a partnership journey with this client over the last probably 2 years. Now, it's not only the PDS team, but a great collaboration of not only the transaction, the brokerage services in the US, in Gareth's team in Thailand, also the supply chain logistics through Tim Foster, and then obviously our PDS team. Now we've delivered multiple projects across, which is about 13 plus engagements over 5 countries across Southeast Asia. We continue to work with this client. We continue to pick up more work. As of recent, more work in Philippines, which is really great for the team and great relationship with the clients. We continue. We've delivered so far $2.1 million worth of revenue, and delivering and have delivered 950,000 square feet of project work with Advanced Energy. Project in the picture in the middle there is the Rayong facility in Thailand, 510,000 square feet. There was an opening ceremony of the project there. We're still in the construction phase with this project at the moment. The first phase 1A will be by March next year. So we're going through the process of design, procurement, and obviously construction work till March, April next year. Okay, Western Sydney University, again, I'll just briefly mention, design and build, 35,000 square feet over, I think, 4 floors of space. Again, more opportunities coming up with that. We did hand that over, but we do have some more work. So we're doing some signage work for them on the current building in Surabaya in Indonesia. And then last and probably not least to mention this project, which is a 5-star hotel in Boracay in Philippines. Now, quite an interesting project. We only have currently, again, a bit of a partnership journey. We've negotiated a 3-month stint with this client. So we've got several team members currently working on the project management side and consultancy side to help the client to build out their overall development for that 5-star resort. It's quite large, it's over 12 hectares, 120 keys, 40 villas. We do anticipate that this project will get legs and grow. So we're looking at a 3 to 4 year project of a team. So we're going through the process of understanding what that means, which is people. You know, we need a lot of people, some pretty talented people to go and work on that beautiful part of the world and deliver that project. So I think that's a bit about PDS. I think one of the focuses is that traditionally, obviously in our core work is office fit outs. But you can see that we're doing a lot more in the data center space for a projects and project management consultancy services side as well. We do want to build out more in the QS and quantity surveying space as well, particularly for the DCs and potentially other asset classes. And also with this new venture, not the first hotel, but potentially a really great hotel. But yeah, we do plan to do a little bit more in that space. You can see we're sort of diversifying and picking up some great work along with some good clients. And that's a little bit about PDS. Thank you. Who's next?
Well, hello again. Isn't it so fantastic to see so many wins and also a solution we offer for our clients, very diverse clients in Southeast Asia from our team. So for me today, I think that I would like to share one case study which shows great collaboration of our team as a platform, as a global platform to our client. And I'm going to talk about China, Southeast Asia brochure we just done 10 days ago. So on behalf of our Southeast Asia colleges and also our China team, we actually putting together, we worked actually for a few months to discuss about idea and also come together and do this with our industrial clients. And I'm going to share with you how this case study is become something that great collaboration from our firm. The brochure for industrial actually isn't the first one that we done. Other firm has done it. Cushman Wakefield, we done it so differently. And I'm going to talk about what different the brochure. The first difference is, the first time a global commercial real estate put together as a Asia-Pacific platform. Other firms, they do one geography, they take one client or few clients to China. We, at the Southeast Asia, take our client in different geography to China. That's the first difference. The second difference was, this wasn't my first time done something like this with our team. However, before I done it several times in China, and mostly the quality of the audience was not as good as Cushman Wakefield put together. And I'm going to talk about the second difference. So we have 150 real manufacturers, China-based, like Chinese corporation, and also MNC China-based, join our roadshow together. And we took 10 developers from 3 different countries to join in China. And our China team have a fantastic relationship with all manufacturers in China. That's what we already know before we come to the roadshow. But when we also went to China, our team, very big, our China team for industrial, very big there. And we also learned something quite unique about Cushman Wakefield globally and also in China. What unique about that is Cushman Wakefield in China provide service to government. And they signed 23 agreements. They signed a contract with 23 cities, biggest city in China, and provide the services for Chinese government in 3 years. And Chinese government have paid the retainer fee for our Cushman Wakefield team in China. Therefore, our China team have a lot of influence with Chinese corporation and also MNC based in China. So some case studies successful in the roadshow that we learned. That's how the client come with us, even though before they come with other platform, they feel deeply the differences. Because there are a lot of networking events and all that, but they meet the real demand, that one. Second, our team works so hard, put an event together for 1 week in 2 main cities, Shenzhen and Shanghai. But they also set up the meetings for our Southeast Asia colleges to meet with the manufacturer who are considering to expand in Southeast Asia. And the client, meaning the industrial park developer, they even tell us, wow, this is something so different from Cushman Wakefield. And also our team arranged for industrial park developer come from Southeast Asia to see one very good case study development in China, which for a lot of industrial park developer could learn from. And that developer, they do very good product to very high value chain and also R&D solution for a lot of Chinese company. So that's about the roadshow, and to follow to some information that Andrew shared about some exciting economic background fundamental in Southeast Asia. I also would like to share some information about Chinese mainland FDI and ODI. What we see in Asia Pacific right now is undoubtable. It's an area for growth. So and that's where you heard from our chief executive here in Southeast Asia, that a main focus is one of the region and identity, one of the big region for growth in the future. And for the mature economy, the European, the growth is 1.2% average, but for Asia Pacific or emerging market, the average is 4.9%, which show in the figure here. And one thing is quite interesting, Chinese is now record as a second largest economy of the world, following the first one in America. So meaning, before we see 25 years ago, Chinese attract a lot of FDI to their country, but now they become ODI, outward direct investment. And a lot of Chinese corporations become a global company. Give an example, Tencent, ByteDance, which they are very big in Vietnam, or Huawei. So we met a lot of Chinese corporation and MNC based China. They do have expansion to Southeast Asia, and particularly Liên. They interested in Indonesia, and then following, guess where? Vietnam, because we're next to China. We very next to China in the north. And the third place is, caused a lot of interest is Malaysia and Thailand. So to give you another fact and figure to bring to the perspective of we see a growing of outward direct investment from China in Southeast Asia. To give you one figure, it's quite interesting, is combined export value in Asia Pacific, from China accounted 50% of that. Interesting. So right now, I think that I done it before, and our colleges from Southeast Asia feel very strongly and also witness very strongly the opinion from Chinese manufacturers or manufacturer based China, they do have expansion plan for Southeast Asia, and they consider Southeast Asia as a Chinese economy corridor, and it's quite important for them to grow their business. And now we run Better Never Settle recently, and I really personally, I feel really inspired by that mindset. So I just would like to give an example as a Better Never Settle mindset, that strategy we work with the client. So we took HVH as a master industrial park developer to China. And there is a just 1 minute story about that. So before that, our leasing team, office leasing team, led by Ngọc Lê in Vietnam, she worked on the one transaction with this client. But before that, that client actually have much more close relationship with other competitor with us, 2 other competitors to be specific. And then they experience working in one deal with us, and our office leasing team, they actually refer. And this developer, they developed office, one of the really Grade A office building in Ho Chi Minh City recently. And they developed, industrial park, and our office leasing team refer this, this client to us, to our industrial team. But before that, they all report the advisory report from other competitors. When they come to us, we listen to their requirement. We gave them another advisory report. They would say, no, I already have advisory report from other competitors. But we show them what is the blind spot in the report that you need when you launch your project to the market. And they would say, okay, that makes sense. And then they bought another advisory report from our industrial team, which is just amazing. And then we do Chinese roadshow, and a lot of people approach them in the same time. 2 other competitors approach them. But we come and explain to them very clear what the benefit, how you can benefit from that. And then they choose us to go with China with us, and they pay quite premium package compared to other. Not even that, we bring them to China, and we arrange for them a very engaging agenda. So of course, the roadshow, I already shared with you the story, how great it is and how beneficial it is for the client from any country. But when we come to China, we know they're going to develop township development, which including shopping centers, including villa townhouse, including shop house, and also the future industrial park. What we did was we arranged the agenda to them. We showed them in China, in Shenzhen, and also in Shanghai, some case study of best development they should look at. And then our team in China, fantastic. They went out on the Saturday and Sunday to go to see the best mall in Shanghai, and also the best mall in Shenzhen, and also the best office building in Shanghai, and also the best industrial park development in Shanghai. They come back and they said, I learned so much from the trip that you took me. And they said, I feel very strongly industrial and also advisory and commercial. Cushman and Wakefield are the strongest one in Vietnam. So it brings us to, that is about the Better Never Settle and collaboration benefit that we see at first, commercial leasing team, and then industrial team in Vietnam, and collaboration with our team in the region. So to bring us to the end of my presentation was, the sharing actually, was I think that it's important for us to work as a team, and also a client that see the benefit from that. Thank you. And now I would like to invite our head of marketing to share some, of Better Never Settle as well from Vietnam and marketing. Thank you.
Thanks, Jan. Good morning, everyone. First, I would like to thank our media team in Southeast Asia for giving me the opportunity to share the activity in Vietnam. The Better Never Settle campaign is a pushing the boundary and making it a lasting impression. It has been a game changer for us to enhance our brand awareness and connect the community. By doing that, we transformed the office in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi with multiple physical material as banner, t-shirt, sticker for laptop, phone, and painting frame. This material we also place at all the client events that we do. We also bring the campaign to our PR activity. Our advertisement appear on top publications such as Vietnam Investment Review, the Business C-Suite magazine, which produce more than 40,000 papers around the countries. And now, in the most exciting part, we bring the message to a massive 1,000 square meter LED screen along the Saigon River for 10 days, and the play looped 2,000 times. And this prime location helped us to spread the campaign to over 1.6 million people every day. And you know, there is a secret I only tell today. Through the negotiation, we secured this opportunity at no cost. This must be a video. I'm not sure it's not playing. All right. All right, beside the business, we bring the campaign into the community by, you know, the CSR initiative effort. Last month, our team completed an amazing campaign named Move for Good. We collect steps from 70 our team members in Vietnam, and together we achieved 30 million steps. It's equivalent to a trekking 10 times up and down to the highest mountain in Vietnam, the Fancy Bang. And through that, we generate $2,000 US. The fund helped us to organize a charity trip. We together, 20 people from Cushman Wakefield Vietnam team, took a bus on 350 kilometers to Đắk Nông. And here we organize, we giving the gift to the poor children. We also organize a meaningful Mid-Autumn Festival to over 300 poor and disabled children in Mai Son Chans, Đắk Nông. The night, despite the rain, but the night went well with a lot of exciting performance, singing and dancing from the children. And we conclude the night with our team, hand on hand together with the children, with the lantern parade around the village. This creating unforgettable memories for all of us. To the conclusion of what we achieved, I think the better never settle in Vietnam has been success. It's not only capture the attention from the business, but it also make a meaningful impact to the community. And I'm super proud of what we have made in Vietnam and excited for the future goal. Thank you for the attention. And any question, please submit to the Q&A chat box. Now I would like to invite Deepti, who will share about Southeast Asia HR. Over to you, Deepti.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think everyone just started the agenda on such a bright note that they have taken most of my talking points in their presentation. And the talking point was definitely about people and how we make our business successful through people. And I think right from Anshul to Riaz to everyone else, they just spoke about people and what sorts of quality and the passion that they bring to the business, that we have so much aspirations and the brand that we want to build, it's right out there and the city is lit, right? And that was your dream. So on that note, I think I'll just talk about my homework that I was doing for last, I think, 2 months that I've taken over this role. I just wanted to understand the landscape of Southeast Asia, what I'm going to get into, what are we going to achieve together, all of us, and where do we want to move from here to the next. So I think there were 3 matrices, the 3 numbers that really kind of took my eyeballs, and I want to share that, and it's highlighted on the screen as well. First is the diversity ratio. I think Southeast Asia has one of the best diversity ratios, not across Cushman Wakefield, but I think across many, many, many organized sectors, MNCs, etc. 54% diversity in Southeast Asia. That's commendable. And I think all of you need a round of applause for that. So, good. I think second number that really took my attention was 19% Gen Zs. So Gen Zs is young workforce, most of you sitting in the room. When I did some research, I think almost about 25% of the working population is Gen Z in Southeast Asia, ready to come and get employed with us. And we are just closing the number, right? It's early 20s, it's just touching 20s. So you guys are moving in the right direction. We just need a little bit of more expedited efforts in that. And as I was talking to few of you yesterday, there is a global program, which is an early career program, wherein we give that global framework and we give those sorts of tools, etc., wherein we can take this number to notches higher in a less time. And third, which I think I'm going to be taking some notes from all of you, 16% attrition in an IPC sector. I think this is unheard of. Across India for sure and other countries, we trend at somewhere around mid-20s and late 20s. And in India, because it's a talent war at this point in time, economy is growing, talent pool is growing, and there are a lot of opportunities. We actually kind of have touched late 20s, early 30s as well. So I think this is a commendable number at about a 16%, stable people, stable teams, making every effort to kind of make this platform, SCA platform, a very integral part of global Cushman Wakefield. So kudos to you guys.
Wow.
I think better never settles. Yeah, that's the purpose. That's a common purpose. Everyone is now really following with a lot of passion, a lot of rigor, and a lot of hard work. We are not going to be settling for what we are, what we have done in the past. We are going to be just striving way forward, inching way forward, leaping way forward into some things which we haven't even explored or experimented as of now. So that's where we are all going to go. Just to kind of give it a framework, when Michelle spoke about it, she said, let's focus our energies, let's focus our efforts into 3 broad goals, wherein we will, of course, strengthen our core business, which could be leasing, office in some of the countries, industrial or PDS in some of the countries. So that's the core. We have to play on our strength, right? To build on that, we will operate with rigor. We will have adaptability, agility, rigor, best of the processes, best of the practices that will take us to strengthen our strengths. And third, of course, we will have to aspire for organic growth. We'll have to aspire for where do we want to be in next 5 years, next 6 years. I think that's where we have to position ourselves in the long-term organic growth. And which will bring me to the next point. How will we do that, right? We will do that with our people. We will do that with all of you. We will do that with hiring the best, engaging and retaining and developing the best, and making sure that you are not here for a single job. You are here to make your career across Cushman Wakefield. And that's how we are going to be doing that. So the onus is on the organization and the onus is on all of you. Well, while we talk about a lot of performance, we talk about a lot of growth, we talk about business, we talk about numbers, what is more important is when you come to work, you should feel like coming to work, right? You should feel happy and proud, and you should feel that this is the place that I want to spend my 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, or even more at times. And for that, I think the new set of values that we have, drive, how we embed that in our day-to-day working. It's not just, to be there on a billboard or a poster or in our offices. It's how we are embedding that in our day-to-day life. We are inclusive, we are driven, we are resilient, we are entrepreneurial, we feel empowered, right? All of that. So that's going to give us that collective results that all of us are aspiring and hoping for. With that, the performance culture that we've been talking about, I think I would like you to focus or probably bring your focus to one of the activities that we have just launched across globally. And you would see some of the emails coming into your email boxes. And I think that's where the culture is built. if you see, this activity might be just year-end review or year-end process, but it touch upon so many important and integral parts of why we work. It talks about the communication that the manager has to have with the employees. It talks about what you feel about how you have achieved and where would you want to go. It talks about what sorts of career aspirations that you have for yourself in this organization. And it also talks about having that aspirations, put it on a piece of paper and discuss it with your manager and make it happen for yourself, right? So I think this is a very important activity that's going to be starting on November 11th. The first part, as you may all know, is talking about yourself, what you have achieved. Go all out, brand yourself, market yourself. Because if you will not do it, no one would know that, right? So make yourself feel important, put everything out there. And then the responsibility is on the manager to kind of take it in the right spirit, to understand what the people want, to understand where their career goals and their strengths lie, and then kind of scale it up for them. And third, there has to be a meeting between the two of you, right? Meeting between employees and their managers. And that's where the trust built, and that's where the collaboration builds, and that's where the wins comes. So I really request and urge all of you to take this activity, which is going to be starting on 11th of November, very seriously, because when we say we perform for results, we do make it happen through our people only. So what's different this year in this activity? You know, as we have been talking about, and as I have shown you in previous slides, we want you to perform, we want you to achieve, but we also want you to be happy. We want you to be, just excited to come to the office. And how we are going to be doing that? We are going to be doing that by really living up to our values of all of you being individuals. All of you are empowered. You're all driven to come to this, to the work that you call your own, and to also kind of, think in an entrepreneurial way how you can envision it to take it forward for yourself. And for that, there is a 30% part of the whole evaluation process that's kind of dedicated to that. While your performance will be mapped or will be measured at 70%, 30% of all what you do here is also mapped under the values. So that's going to be the ratio, the proportion between the performance and the values. So that's what it's different here. We mean it. So it's not, again, it's on a piece of paper. We mean it when we say that this is what we aspire for, and this is where the better will never settle. It's just my first thoughts on people priorities that I would want to kind of, along with the support of my HR team and managers and leaders, that I would like to kind of focus upon. These are some 6 priorities that I believe would give us that impetus to achieve what we all envision to. First is talent acquisition and onboarding. Get the best talent in Cushman Wakefield. We are people's business. We are service-driven industry. We need to get the best talent. And best talent does not mean costliest talent. Best talent means people who conform to the jobs that we have, who also has the similar values and the culture that we aspire to have in the organization, and they perform in that. So get them inside, but also welcome that as one of our own. So onboard them. That first experience, as all of us have always kind of heard, first experience is always the last experience. If not last, it is a lasting experience, right? So let's make that happen. Number 2, leadership, inclusivity, and culture. See, everywhere I will talk about, there is culture, there is inclusion, there is having a place where you feel empowered, you feel happy, and you feel supported. And that's the aspiration. That's what we want to make Cushman Wakefield. Everyone should get the genuine self of all of you to the office, right? Engagement and feedback. We want to hear from you. We think we are doing good stuff, we are doing great stuff. There are so many global platforms, this and that, everything's coming to you. But are you feeling the same? Are you feeling engaged? Are you feeling motivated? And there was an engagement survey that got launched about last month. I hope everyone in this room and on the call have filled that. In India, I just got a mail from my team in the morning that we've hit almost about 82% of the completion rate, which is commendable for about 4,000 plus employees. And I know that the last time that I checked for Southeast Asia, few of the countries have completed 100% of the survey. So that's the kind of engagement that I'm talking about. So congratulations again to countries who have kind of hit that mark. And I'm really hoping that we hit that mark for the entire Southeast Asia. Recognition and value. Absolutely. If we work, we want to get recognized. If we deliver, we want to be valued. We want to be respected. We want bigger roles. We want better roles. And that's what we want to do. I want leaders and managers, again, going back to that activity of performance management. It's important. Talk to your people. Give them that respect of what they have achieved, what they want to be recognized for, and then sit with them and understand where they want to go from here. So that's what the organization should stand for you. Career development and growth, which is right after recognition, that's the offset, right? That's the next step. If you have achieved, if you have delivered, then where are you going from here? What is your career looking like? What is the growth that you actually see for yourself? And are we helping you out to get that career growth in Cushman Wakefield? Most important, health and well-being. It's not the last point, it's the most important point. Not just the mental health or the physical health, but it's a complete health, mind, wellness, your work, your respect, respecting your boundaries, work-life balance, everything put together. Do you feel happy coming to work? That's the question that all of you should ask. And if the answer is no, I think then you should walk up to your manager, walk up to your leader and have a conversation. HR team is always available because this is important for us. This is what we stand for. So these are going to be 6 broad focus areas where the HR team is going to be working with all of you to help you deliver a career or help you make a career in Cushman Wakefield. I'll briefly touch upon, how we are also focusing on giving more support to the local HR teams that we have in the country. So while Ann is the country HR VP here, I have just taken a role to support her, coach her to get all those 6 priorities in place. And then she will also have a support of the COEs that we have. That could be talent acquisition, total rewards, comp and ben, learning and development, and some of the other people services payroll. And you're not alone for those 6 things. That all of us are here with you. We are rooting for you, and we'll make that happen collectively. So that's the specialized team that we have who will support in achieving all those 5-6 things that I've spoken to. And I really hope that by end of, let's say next year when I come again or midst of the year, I get a thumbs up from all of you that yes, Needle has moved in the right direction. Of course, I'm not saying that Trang and the leadership has not really thought of that. In fact, yesterday when you were showing me a couple of staff employee engagement things, I promised her that I'm taking it back to India because I want to do the same thing for India. So you guys really, really are the pinnacle of employee engagement. But I think now is the time to move from where we are to the next. So I think I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for having me. And you guys are a great team. Thank you so much. Anshul.
Thanks, Deepthi. I know we're running a bit over time, but given it's our first one, I think we can spare 10 or 15 minutes over time. So that's fine. I think the most important thing for all the Southeast Asian countries, for those who haven't completed the employee engagement survey, please do that. I think the deadline is within...
7.
It's 7th, so you still have sort of 1 or 2 days to kind of complete it. So please get on to that after this. It takes about 10 minutes to complete. So thank you so much. I would just sort of summarize by saying that our kind of strategy in Southeast Asia is very clear. We're quite excited about where we are from a Southeast Asia perspective. As I said, from roughly break even to about $4 million of profit, I think we can double this in the next kind of 4 years, which is about 18% growth. I think each country will contribute. The investment in Thailand is kind of showing its result, and that will increase. Vietnam, of course, as the economy sort of improves over the next 12 to 18 months, I think a good strong contribution is going to come from. So our strategy is pretty clear. Philippines focus on office market as a primary asset class and build our business, continue to build our business around the office assets, and all service lines effectively around offices. Indonesia is a full service office. It's got good strong retail teams, residential, industrial, commercial office, and we'll continue to grow Indonesia as full services, all asset class, right? And it's where the opportunities are. We'll continue to sort of invest in there. Vietnam is led by industrial. Of course, there's office and retail and everything else. We want to sort of focus on office, but industrial is an important and a growing asset class. Consulting and valuation, in emerging markets like this is always quite important. So I think our kind of main impetus in the near term will be around that, and of course projects as well. Thailand, again, I would say pretty similar. I would say industrial is probably a primary asset class. Second is probably office. So it's office, industrial office. Hospitality is an important asset class in Thailand, so you're kind of trying to figure out how to kind of engage in that. And of course, bringing it up with projects and a bit of FM. So we're kind of choosing where we play in each one of these markets, just to make sure that we follow the money, where the money is, where people are kind of spending. And we invest in our people in this, and we kind of focus on clients and make sure that we help clients in the right areas, so that the growth that we have in mind, which really comes through. And as the growth comes through, the growth in career, the growth in compensation, all of that good stuff actually comes to our people, right? So that's the ultimate aim. So thank you for your patient listening. If there are any questions to me or to any of the speakers, or to any other country heads, I'm sure they'll be happy to take. So are you going to kick us off, or do we have any questions?
Hello again. I think that because it's the very first time Vietnam have the pleasure to host, so I have a lot of difficult questions here for our regional leaders here. But I'm going to choose two, most difficult one. Well, I think that I can see clearly from Deepti sharing that our firm working so hard to taking care of us and make sure we roll with the firm. So my question, the first one is, how can the leaders foster a culture with innovation within their teams and organization?
Oh, how can they foster innovation? I think it's really giving people a platform to create, platform to think, and somewhere a freedom to think as well. Given that we are a relatively flat organization, if people have ideas, as I go around the region, or Deepti or Riaz or anyone else for that matter, your country leaders, and I know you guys are all very pally with country leaders. There's no sort of Chinese walls, etc. here. I think there can't be any better environment to generate and discuss your ideas, right? And if that culture is there, where people are free to kind of talk about and think about their ideas and bring those ideas to the table, I do think the culture of innovation happens automatically.
Okay, thank you, and sure. Riaz, do you have anything to share about that question?
I think Anshul summed that up quite well, to be quite honest. From PES perspective, we always are looking at innovative ways to sort of do better at what we do and provide the services for our clients. I think one of the things that we do, or we'd be looking at, would be, we already provide quite comprehensive services to our clients. How can we do that better? Maybe through really early onboarding, through the advisory approach, perhaps.
Yeah.
Could be something we need to look at a little bit more.
So on behalf of Southeast Asia country, the reason I asked that question is that if we cannot commit ourselves to grow or innovation, it's very difficult for us to survive and continue to grow. And so innovation is so important. So the question goes also to Deepti. How, from the HR standpoint, that support for the leaders that foster the culture of innovation within their team and organization?
Yeah, so I think Anshul and Riaz did talk about a lot of innovation. I think for us, what's important is to give you a platform for innovation, right? When I say platform for innovation, think differently. Think your own, right? And I think beyond also. So when I was given Southeast Asia along with India, I think it was just thinking beyond that, I can cross boundaries, I can explore more things, I can explore more cultures. And I think so is with a lot of you who have moved countries, who have moved places, who have moved industries to be here. So I think innovation is not just accepted, but respected, I would say. And that's what it should be. Think differently, think your own. And the platform, I think what I have experienced in the last close to about 2 years now, the platform is so agile that it will make it happen for you. If the idea is good, it will make it happen for you. So guys, go for it.
Are there any questions on the chat box?
Yeah, we will take it. So while we're waiting for the question from all the country coming in, because all the agenda today, the two things that we are focused. One is a client-centric, and two is our people. The first question already go to the people. The second question going to our clients. With the world nowadays, technology and AI and the economy challenges, our client demand for services is very evolving. So our question is to all the leaders here and also to all the leaders on the call for us to think about, what do we think the future services our clients might require from us?
Right. I think, there's technology and AI and all of that, people are kind of talking a lot about that, so I don't want to dwell on that. But I do think in terms of how clients think of real estate, it's become a lot more complex and a lot more holistic,
Yes.
right? It's not just about brokerage services and
Yes.
then you guys come and do fit out and then somebody
Yes.
will manage. Now, those are services that we offer, but I think the solutioning of that and the thinking of that has become a lot more holistic as to what does this whole complex real estate, whether it's on the occupier side, which is office transaction, fit out, FM, or on the developer side, when they are looking at buying a land and building for residential or retail, etc. The whole thing ultimately is what is the experience you're trying to deliver to the user, right? So user of the office, or in case of developer, to the consumer. What is the experience you're trying to deliver? And that experience today, and if you think about Gen Z, is quite, they need quite a holistic experience, right? They need not only an environment which engages people, but also they need to know that while doing that, what's your sort of carbon footprint like, right? So how's the sustainability aspect of it? Has that been taken care of, and so on and so forth. So as I said, very holistically, it's all about experience, which includes sort of, your cost, carbon, culture. Cost is obviously important, right, for any client today.
Yep.
But what's a carbon footprint, and how does the development actually, or buildings or real estate, foster the culture? So in my mind, it's a very holistic requirement, and therefore, when we are kind of, while the way we are structured is we still kind of, obviously, I'm an expert in acquisition or I'm an expert in fit out, right? But you got to start putting yourself in client shoes and say, just think, it's very simplistically, three things: cost, carbon, culture. And I think you'll get your answer.
Yeah.
Right? And whether it's going to deliver through technology or through AI or whatever it may be. But ultimately, those are the problems you're solving.
Thank you, Anshu, for that. Riaz, do you have anything to add to that question?
Couldn't have said it any better. I think that's a really, really good, well said. Good point.
Well, we have received one question. I think that's quite important for us here as a Southeast Asia country to hear the view from our regional leaders. Where do you see Southeast Asia in the next 5 years, and what should we focus on to drive the road?
I think that question maybe before I answer, before I sort of summed it, so I pretty
Yes.
much summed it,
Okay.
right? 18% growth, and I summed various countries who's going to, grow, where do we want to grow in each of those countries, yeah.
Right, but I think that's something maybe I, on behalf of Southeast Asia, to ask about this, because I actually myself don't have full knowledge about that. So recently we heard about OGT, Organic Growth Team. Anshu, could you please have to share with us more about that?
Yeah, so it's the team I was talking about, and maybe some of you missed it, and some of you, but it's kind of hard to understand in the first go. But there's about a team of 30 data analysts that we are hiring and putting in Kochi, India. Now, the job of the data analyst, and the team is called Organic Growth Team, right? Why the team is called Organic Growth is because we feel there's a lot of data, client data, which is sitting in our systems in silos. So it's kind of sitting in Vietnam and sitting in Indonesia, and within Indonesia, Vietnam, it's PDS data, and it's, you know, it's transactional data and it's developer data. So what we want to do is have the data analyst build algos, right, which will effectively analyze all the data, put that against how what's, you know, who are in the market news, so who's been in Bloomberg talking about growth, who's been in Reuters talking about growth, and so on and so forth, and really look at all the points of data. And I'm just talking about 2 or 3 things here, but I think they're talking about putting together 30, 40 different points of data together, external data, internal data, and come up with directing us that here is the area where you should be running after, and that's the area there's no point running after, and that those are the kind of clients you're running after. So I think that the team will be operational in the next kind of 6 months or so.
Wow, thank you for that. Actually, we would like to discuss more, with our leader here, but I'm afraid we only run out 10 minutes. So I will let Anshu to close it first, Southeast Asia Town Hall today. Thank you very much from everyone.
Okay, thanks, Trang. Thanks, everyone in Vietnam here for hosting us. It's always nice to be back. I do look forward to visit other Southeast Asian countries on a more regular cadence, hopefully next year. But thank you, everyone, and thanks for listening. Bye-bye. All right. Thanks, man. Cheers.